which made headlines through the week, and we put them into context. My name is Simapolo. Welcome from that very busy week, and the panel is ready, set to take you through those big stories and give you thorough analysis of those pertinent events. On the panel today, we have Dr. G77 a public policy researcher. We also have Richard Tinkasimire Baguma, a communication expert, but also a strong advocate for proper nutrition. But we'll also be joined by Kabweri MP, Honorable Stephen Mauku Mugole. And it's really a busy week. In Parliament, the standoff that had taken almost a month was quelled by a report tabled by the by government on human rights situation in the country. The opposition returned to Parliament, but they have to look into the report and come back on Tuesday, possibly to settle the differences and the standoff over this pertinent issue. But we also have to look at a very, very important event that happened in Arusha, Tanzania, as Somalia was admitted as the 8th member into the East African Community. After intense lobbying that has taken for almost a year, Somalia now joins the East African Community. I mean, observers have pointed out that the admission of Somalia brings both opportunities and challenges. We'll look at the road to integration and what it means now that the bloc has expanded, gathered almost, actually more than 300 million people. We'll give time to that particular issue. And finally, we will also look at two international events that are going to be held in Kampala come January next year. It's just a month away. The Non-Aligned Movement Conference and the G77 plus China. These are international events that will be held in Kampala. Are we ready for it or for that? But looking at what is happening on the ground, with just a month to go, are we ready for it? Dr. G77, speak to our audience, and we kick off the big show.
Good morning, my host, Apollo. It is a pleasure always being here. Good morning, my fellow panelists, Mr. Richard Tinkasimire, and of course our esteemed viewers who spend their 2 hours every Saturday to interact with us. It's good to be here and looking forward to constructive engagement.
Wow. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
Richard, you seem to have had a very busy week. Speak to our audience.
As always, the most gracious and extremely powerful God is the one who takes charge, and we are here. So we are very, very grateful and humble.
Wow.
And the viewers, which is always exciting to be together. Thank you very much. Yes, the week has been tight.
Wow.
It was tight. I was on the road, in the air, and then in meetings throughout. Part of it is we are trying to construct some architecture and possibility of highlighting local giving. If you look at a church institution, like the one which owns Salt Media, if you look at what we call high net worth individuals like Pastor Bujingo, and you'll see what they give in a year. But it's really never documented together. It's never highlighted, because I think partly in this part of our world, in our culture, we don't want to be seen to be gloating. We don't mean to seem proud, so you give quietly. What this is constructing is actually perpetuating the imbalance. So when we want to think about givers, we all look to the whites. Yes, when you say givers, and you see it, when a white comes, people bow, even if the person is an intern who has come for training. If you are in the hospital and you have a Muzungu intern and the senior consultant black, people bow to the Muzungu intern. But some of the issues are because we are the ones who are shy.
Oh yeah.
To blow up trumpet on this. But two, to also recognize that the first giving is actually local. The other people come to supplement. Yeah, they always come to supplement. The second thing was road safety, and I was with Dr. Gerard here for 2 days. We were in a retreat. We are discussing road safety. Among the things we discussed outside the official meetings is to insist that you join the road safety campaign. So we are inviting you officially, including on air, that you come and join us in the road safety campaign.
Including Salt Media.
You bring Salt Media, you bring the entire church, you bring Saba Saba, and all of you want you in the road safety campaign.
Okay.
And we are getting into Christmas. We would like to see that the road crashes during this Christmas period is not the usual report, that they have doubled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Gerard, is there anything that, during the week that you can highlight before we kick off the big show?
Of course, for me during the week, something that was interesting was what I saw in Parliament. Suddenly, I saw the president releasing a high-powered person, that's the vice president, to the floor of Parliament, and then she categorically said the head of state was with us. We were in the cabinet meeting, and he directed the responsible ministers that they should expedite this and resolve this matter in Parliament. And immediately, the Speaker had to give a directive to the ministers to issue a report. So what left me wondering was the ministers who they say that they traveled, where did they come from the next day? But anyway, for me, it was a highlight of the week. I thank the Speaker. There is always nothing wrong with, say, I made a mistake and here I'm correcting it. I think for me, that was a strength in what she did.
Indeed. My highlight of the week was the statements that were made by the Finance Minister, Matia Kasaija, on matters of corruption. He spoke to the president and said he is disgusted. I mean, that he and President Museveni are doing a very, very patriotic job. That they're doing everything, but they have people around them who are only and only looking at stealing the money, the funds. And I don't know if you watched that short video.
No, but I think, even if I did not watch, but if I get the content from you, actually, there is a serious lack of seriousness in this country, because
Where the seriousness is,
exactly. Because why am I saying that? Today I was reading an article that since the police started making their own uniforms, they are saving 700 million shillings per year from their budget.
Yeah.
But the president has talked about this for many years. People would escape, they go and buy gumboots from China. They go and buy uniforms from there because they want to steal from the state.
Yeah, true.
But if you dealt with Ginger, this factory, Nightil and others, you can produce uniforms, you can get gumboots, all these things are being made here. So I think Matia Kasaija, what he said is really disgusting. That now if you look at the city, as if a very big dinosaur walked in the city. The potholes, if you take an aerial photograph, you see potholes everywhere as if there was a very big dinosaur taller than buildings that was walking in Kampala.
All right, thank you so much. And I think it's good that the finance minister is coming out to speak about it. Hopefully, action will be taken at this point in time. But let me take the honor to introduce to you, viewers, Honorable Mauku Stephen Mugole, Member of Parliament Kabweri. Really, what I know about him is a trade unionist and and much more. I'm happy to have you on the show this morning, Honorable.
Thank you, and thank you, colleagues, for coming up to the show. I thank my people of Kabweri. Good morning to them. I thank the entire country. 2 or 3 things. The highlight of this week for me was the coming on of Somalia.
Wow.
To the East African integration. That was great. But as my brother says, about saving around 700 million shillings because police are making their own uniforms. You saw that this very week workers of fine spinners went on strike. Those that are making the police
That
uniforms.
is fine spinners Bugorobi.
Yes.
The apparel.
That are making the police uniform to mean or to presuppose that ours we are saving 700 million shillings, we are trampling on the rights of others,
Wow.
not paying them correctly. So that is one of the areas that we must correct too.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, the panel. Thank you so much, our viewers. Let's kick off the show with the admission of Somalia into the East African community, the 8th member, and Somalia comes bare a year after another member, new entrant. The Democratic Republic of Congo was admitted. Like I said in the introduction, observers have pointed out that Somalia comes both with multiple opportunities and multiple challenges. The lobbying has been intense. Actually, even at the 23rd Extraordinary Summit in Arusha, reports have come out that it took more than 5 hours for the heads of member states to agree to admit Somalia into the East African community. What does this mean? And let me kick off this discussion with Dr. Gerard Wire-Wanzara. Tell us what you think it means to have Somalia with its challenges, which we well know, ranging from security, ranging from a very loose system, legal and political system at home. What does it mean now today? Are we still on course of integration?
Yeah, I think I'll begin this conversation from what are the conditions for a country to become a member of the EAC. Of course, as any other organization of integration, there must be certain conditions for you to fulfill before, and even the EU runs like that, where first you have a candidate status, then later you can be considered if you meet the conditions. Now for the EAC, one of the conditions is that proximity to the East African community. So as you look at the map of Somalia, it is neighboring Kenya. So naturally, it is in terms of proximity, it qualifies. Then the other is that it must respect and demonstrate tenets of good governance, democracy, and universal principles of democracy. When it comes to that one, of course, it is a challenge. You know that Somalia got disintegrated in the early 90s, and later on it has been going through the Islamic Courts Union, the Al-Shabaab almost took control. We went in for the peacekeeping and peace enforcement mission. So when it comes to democratic principles and practices, I don't believe that a country which is at war can really, like Somalia, can really qualify in that respect. And then the other condition is interdependency. that there should be a demonstration that this country has been interdependent with the community. And if you look at the areas of trade, in areas of migration, Somalia and the EAC have been interdependent on each other. Like Uganda, you know, we have a very significant Somali community, not only in Kisenyi, but across the country. And some of them came long ago, like we in Tororo, who grew up there. We know the family of Hussein Shire, who have contributed to the development of Uganda through fuel stations, buses, and so forth, employing so many Ugandans. And in Kenya, you know that quite a big fraction, almost a quarter of the population, not even a quarter, but it's a fraction of Kenya, which is of Somali community. And so it is interdependent on Somalia. So naturally, they do, in that aspect, they qualify. Now, whether Somalia brings benefits or not, I think we need to look at it in a number of ways. One of the purposes of integration is to create a big market, investment market, consumption market. That if an investor is coming from, say, China, Europe, where to put their money here, they consider the GDP size, the population, they look at. So if they are able to add, like now we have become 325 million people. So I believe that it can attract investment. The other purpose of integration, of course, is free movement of people, capital, of course, labor, capital, and ideas. So in that respect, we see that it benefits the people of East Africa. And then the other purpose, of course, of integration, strategic security. That Somalia has a long coastline neighboring the East African Community coastline. In terms of maritime security, we are protected if we are working together. Now, what are some of the contradictions that we are seeing, for instance, in the community? The challenges relate most to multiple integrations. Of course, there is nothing wrong for a country to belong to IGAD, EAC, SADC, and so forth, or Central African Confederation of Central African States. But now I will give the example of, say, Congo. Congo belongs to SADC and EAC. When it came to security, they came to us. We went and put there the East African Standby Force to enforce peace in the Eastern Congo. Now, after a few months, the president of Congo has traveled around saying we are coexisting with his destabilizers like twins, that we coexist with the rebel groups. So he has moved to SADC, and we were being given a condition to leave by the 8th of December, to leave the DRC. But the engagements have gone on. I think they have accepted that the EAC to coexist with the SADC forces. So at the end of the day, Somalia brings benefits. But if you analyze...
Somalia already into another block? I mean...
Of course, we meet elsewhere. Like we were together in IGAD, but they were... they had been suspended. I'm not very sure whether they are back. And also because of the allocation and the Sunni dominance, they also relate a lot with the Yemen and others, which of course would not have a problem. But we are seeing like the militants cross from Yemen to become commanders in Somalia to fight for Al-Shabaab. So, but it brings opportunities, but with a strong challenge. Because if we gather so many members with problems, they bring instability in the region. They'll bring challenges. Today, we are seeing that South Sudan and Burundi are not even able to pay their subscriptions to the EAC, and they were waived. I saw President Salva Kiir thanking the community for waiving that. Also, the other condition of the governance challenges. Of course, the treaty recognizes the sovereignty of the states, the member states of the EAC. However, we are not doing much as a community. For instance, if you are violating human rights, if you are holding elections that are not democratic, you are clinging to power. So what are the punitive measures that are there because you are potential to destabilize the community. If you have like a leader who is even forgetting the names of other leaders, like I saw a leader in Arusha the other day addressing President Suluhu of DRC, President Museveni of Rwanda, President. So I was like, what kind of head of state is this one who cannot even remember? And he was reading. So these are challenges that we must address.
Okay, before I move on to another panelist, the integration process started in 2000. It's now 23 years down the road, and many more members have been coming on board, new entrants coming on board. And the main purpose of this integration is mainly trade and economic integration. Before we gather many more members, in your opinion, do you think we have leveraged on opportunities in economics and trade and all that, maximized all the opportunities, or we may be only gathering, having new members coming in, but have not actually accrued the benefits?
Maybe I will first give the example of the original members. At the time we restarted the EAC in 2000, Uganda was in a serious trade deficit with Kenya. Almost everything we used to buy from Kenya. Today, Kenya is buying 26% of Uganda's goods. Some of them manufactured and then mainly agricultural products. Now, if you go to Congo, of course, I do not have evidence to show that.
So Uganda has benefited. Can you put it to integration?
Yeah, I believe that because the president has been attracting certain investors here and saying, you know, his language has been that we have the market in the neighborhood. So there are those who came. Now, if you come and put a factory here, you look at only the Uganda GDP per capita is too small. So I can say in that respect, because we have been able to remove trade barriers, especially the tax, the tariff barriers. Sometimes in some sectors like poultry, like milk, like sugar, we are having challenges where, because of individual interests of states, some countries arbitrarily come and block the market, like Kenya has been doing with our milk. And but then it does not remove the fact that in other aspects we are benefiting, and actually we have managed to cover the trade deficit between Uganda and Kenya. And then we are also seeing free movement of people. So many Kenyans coming to work here because, as you know, we lack expertise in the hotel industry. In Uganda, we have a habit. You build a very nice hotel because you made a deal, then you go and collect people from your village who have never gone to school, they don't know anything about hospitality, and you make him a manager. After a short time, it collapses. But I'm seeing so many Kenyan managers doing a great job. So that's the benefits of movement of labor. Of course, I've heard Ugandans complain that when they go, no, they are there. Of course, challenges are there, but there are benefits that can be quantified, that can be measured. Today, Congo is the second biggest trading partner after Kenya. Yes. Of course, Sudan, you knew what was happening before the war. It had become our leading trade partner. So at the end of the day, for me, my advice, let's not only focus on expansion, it is good, but as we expand, let's watch. Are the customs union working properly? Is the common market being respected? Are we working towards the common currency that we are dreaming about? We are talking about the federation, political federation. We know that the issues of land are one of the biggest impediments to political federation. Like Tanzanians fear Ugandans and Kenya because of land grabbing. So there are those issues that we need to solve within the individual.
Thank you so much, Richard. It's now the 8th member is Somalia, and according to what we know, even as Somalia comes in, there are other other states that have already applied to join the bloc, the East African bloc. Eritrea, Djibouti, and Ethiopia, and possibly Sudan will join. well, we are expanding, but what do you make now of this this expansion vis-a-vis the objectives that for why the community was formed?
I think it was expansion and deepening interaction. Yeah. So maybe then we look, and it was for economic, but also for social, and then political. I think so. Maybe we need to assess in that way. I can't remember when the ESC treaty was entered into first. If you count, I think the beginning was 3.
Yeah.
Now it's 8.
The pillars?
No.
Oh, yeah, the states.
So if anybody is asking if there has been any change, at least the number of members have more than doubled. They are actually going to triple.
That is true.
Probably.
They have tripled.
So if anybody is asking if there has been anything that has happened, at least really in not so many years, the number of countries are going to triple.
Yeah.
Now, that brings me to the next one. If this thing, the East African Community Institution, was not beneficial, why would countries therefore be asking to join?
Okay.
Why would they be lining up? If let's say it has done nothing, it is useless. I do not think that all these countries are stupid to line up to join something that is useless. So yes, even if we take, without looking at English, without too much English, economic English, political English, at least it means that the other countries see something valuable.
They see a benefit
to be part of
in joining.
Yes. So for me, those indicators alone tell me that there is something happening. Now, Dr. Wedike has done something I think very useful. Talked about the flipping of the trade situation that was happening in this region.
Yeah, sure.
Our largest trading partners were the Europeans.
Before
Yes.
the integration
Yes.
process started.
Yes, but you see, that was hemorrhage because the imbalances were so wide. So at least those are being addressed. At least, you see, if you take for example the European Union. The European Union started as the European Economic Community, and that was before the 60s. I think it was 1957 or something. They have been trying to integrate from 57 before we even had we dreamt of independence. So if we measure, we also need to measure, because people start telling you about other places, and I'm like, yeah, but why don't we also compare how long has it taken them? Yeah, so I think we are doing very well. Let me tell you some of the things that I said it the other time. Because I move around a little bit regularly, there are certain things that are very irritating for me. I find unclever that when I am going to Congo, DRC, I have to go to the embassy to apply
For a visa.
Really? No. So and Kenya, that we have to go and apply. There were some here that the Bagwere, the Wamasaba, the Kupsabi, what do you call them?
The Sabines,
The Sabines.
the Kalenjins.
I mean, why? So for me, it's that somebody in Berlin in 1884 went and created a difficult situation for us, and we have been perpetuating it.
Artificial,
So I'm glad at least.
artificial boundaries.
I'm glad at least now we are addressing it.
Okay.
Yes. That somebody in Kopuku is going to Yei, and they have to first look for an embassy in Kampala and get a visa. And I think for me, that is the point really where we have to start from.
All right. I think some African, member states have worked on it.
No, it is automatic
Yeah. Now traveling to East African countries.
Yes, you use an ID.
Use just a national ID.
So you can imagine, because for example, I move around a bit regularly. I don't want to stamp my leaves in the passport all the time. So when I'm doing Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, I feel like a small piece of paper, use my identity card and preserve my passport.
Okay, finally on Somalia, I think it is Dr. Gerald Wanzala who pointed it out earlier on in our subsequent programs. He said, I think he was relating to the admission of Sudan, South Sudan. We are bringing on more problems into, we are admitting more problems into the East African Community bloc. Do you think Somalia is another big problem?
We have been in two places. One is South Sudan, the other one is Somalia. Did we go because they were part of the East African? It was our understanding of the African problem. And they were Pan-Africans. So we went there anyway. By the way, we went there after the foreigners had run out. The Americans lost a few people. And they abandoned. Why do we allow ourselves, even when we have some capacities, not to intervene? If people can think about the extent of the coastline, that Somalia,
it has Africa's largest coastline, longest coastline.
It is the Yemenis, it is the one who are using this. They are established. You know, when people haven't been to Somalia, they think the country is not there's nothing happening. That is not true.
Okay.
These other foreigners are using the ports. If you don't stabilize the government, they use them for free. Why? So for me, there are benefits to have Somalia on board.
Good.
I have Djibouti on board, have Ethiopia. Imagine the economy of Ethiopia becomes part of us.
Thank you so much. And Honorable Mgole, now we have a quarter of Africa's population in the East African community with Somalia on board. What do you look at the opportunities, possible challenges that Somalia brings on board?
Thank you. I told you even in my maiden opening remarks what took my week was the integration of Somalia. We had very many countries join East Africa community. By the way, this East African community was revived in 1999. And the operationalization started around, I think, 7th July 2000. 23 years after it had collapsed. It collapsed because of political issues, most especially emanating from Uganda, when we had Idi Amin, and this East African community collapsed. If we had moved at the trajectory we are moving today, we would be very far. In fact, we would be at the level of the European Union almost. And considering the strategies of this government, our government alone, I remember a discussion between the president of Uganda and that of Libya, by then Muammar Gaddafi, who wanted the African unity to begin from the top down. And His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni was saying we should begin using these blocks first. We should be a bottom-up approach. I can assure you that one of the countries that is more entrenched in other countries because of their politics is Somalia. Somalia
because of their problems.
Because of their problems. Their populations, most of them, I mean many of them, are in other countries, diaspora. But here, Kenya, there are certain regions. That's why you must have a minister who is a Somali. You must have MPs who are Somalis. In Kenya here, even here now, we have areas in Uganda here. You can never be a local leader in that area unless you're a Somali, because they are the ones who are in that area. So the integration is very important. I know there could be some challenges, but what benefits we get as Uganda and as East Africa is enormous. Dating from tourism, the antiquity of Somalia is the oldest in the African region. Somalia is more mentioned in the Bible than any other country almost, because of its antiquity nature. Everybody has talked of the stretch of the coastline, touching the Mediterranean Sea, touching the Indian Ocean. It is very, very important to have Somalia into the integration. In fact, Eritrea, Djibouti, and Ethiopia are just delaying. They would be there. We know the challenges of expansion. You know, history is very alive. The Napoleons, when we were doing history, they said it is the expansion policy of Napoleon that made him
in Europe
yes, collapse. But also the Metternichs and whatever, if it was not them, there would be no unification of, for example, Germany, which had East and West Germany. So sometimes you have to unify. And unify by building blocks and bringing countries together before you unify. Here, is this expansion policy a problem? No, it has been calculated. You can imagine since 2000, these are 23 years now, from the time of reintegration of East African community. We were 3. If in 23 years we've been able to add up to 8, then means before the integration is done, then all the do's and don'ts have been expounded.
23 years vis-a-vis what has been achieved. That is what I want you to speak to.
What has been achieved? First of all, the market. From the time we started, this free movement of labor, the removal of some of these tariffs, many of our goods, our people have benefited a lot, enormously. In fact, it is almost going to become the East African dynasty. Not only cooperation, we are going into a dynasty. And I'm very sure every bloc, either SADC or ECOWAS, are watching the East African community with envy because of the 3 parameters. We are looking at economic integration, social, and then later on political. But at least you can see that the social and economic are moving in tandem. By the time we go even to the monetary, having the same currency, we are shooting in the right direction. At the trajectory we have currently, most especially in terms of goods and services. Somebody has hinted on the issue of hotel. It is true. Whereas Uganda is trying to build the capacity to have its hotel system, including institutions, heightened in terms of structures, in terms of academics, also in terms of service delivery. Kenya was a little bit higher than us within the East African community. And that's why whether in Rwanda, whether Tanzania or South Sudan, you'd find more Kenyans being managers in the hotel system. But that has helped us as Uganda, has helped all other nations also to develop their structure. Now, the HTTA, the Hotel Tourism Institute of Uganda in Jinja, it has been fully constructed, and now instead of taking people to Utali, they are going to be. But we borrowed this example from Kenya. Instead of Kenyanizing all the hotel management in Uganda, we are now having Ugandans, and we're going to have Ugandans taking on these jobs. But already the systems are up and running.
And you talked about the bottom-up approach, and I think that has been the sentiment, especially in local people. Right from the formation, the revival of this integration idea, people still think that the integration is up and not starting from the people at the grassroots, and that is quite a challenge.
Yeah, depending on how you address it. Because if we started, for example, like African unity once, in fact it should have, that is political. That is political up. Before you look at bottom up, it meant countries one by one joining before you make the African unity. But also the down one like election,
Integration of people.
Yeah, the integration of people that has started already. The integration of people, once you remove the issue of applying to go to another country, then the people are just getting integrated. This time now people just move across borders without any hindrance apart from just presenting your national ID, most especially Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda. Other countries, I don't know that they have now formalized that, but at least these three countries are the ones that opened that up. Already that type of integration of people already shows that East African community is working. Even the national anthems, even now in the village in Uganda here, when they see the national anthem, they will put the Ugandan anthem, the East African anthem. So the integration is really there. People, why do we sing the East African anthem? It's because we are together. In administration, whereas we may say, when we are talking of bottom up, you may not begin by the local person himself, but we are beginning by the local country. That Uganda being local before it becomes international when it has joined.
I didn't hear you speak
countries.
about the problems Somalia is bringing on board.
The problems Somalia is bringing on board. What are these? I don't think they are problems. In fact,
we know the problems.
We have the security issues, the fundamentalism of some of these Somalis. But it's better to have a fundamentalist as a brother other than a fundamentalist as a neighbor. You'd rather, because you can suffocate that fundamentalism inside other than suffocating it when it is outside. So the problems one would be talking of is that fundamentalism, the Al-Qaedism and whatever, but that is now to be controlled. If we could go to Somalia when we were not brothers, now we are brothers, what will stop now very many countries to go and stop that? We have piracy. On the piracy is only in Somalia.
In the waters.
In the waters. We have never had it in the East Africa. So somebody would say now you have brought in the problem of piracy in the East African community. It is now East African community can go even in the space. Uganda alone, Kenya alone cannot manage to be in the space. But as a bloc, we can be in the space now to monitor all of this. Piracy or the fundamentalism things, all of that.
You remind me President Museveni's statement that I think it was again during the admission of Somalia that we should be in the space, but we are now dancing paka chini.
Yeah.
Richard,
we could have been really in the space longer time if this East Africa. Honorable brings in something that I was thinking about. The issue of joint, you know, one of the challenges we have as a community is poor infrastructure. So doing together things that bring us together, like the way we have the East African Development Bank, if we had joint infrastructure projects that cut across the countries, you know, there is a way these bind people together. And if you look at the EU, that is what, like joint logistical corridors, like, you know, telecom companies, they really strengthen the unity amongst the people. But as he said, naturally, I come from the border place. When I was young, you know, people walk from my village to Kenya, and the salt was a bit expensive in Uganda. It was one of the most sought after goods. But a person would go even when he's buying 3 packets and crossing in Wakaka, they are grabbed by customs people. Today, people go carrying their maize and beans on the head, enter Kenya, they sell, they get money, buy bread, and then they cross and go back home. The Kenyans cross to Uganda and drink waragi because it is available everywhere, they go back drunk.
For them, they have have tough stringent rules,
exactly, so
laws
they can't
relating
decide.
to alcohol.
Even politically, even politically, I was discussing with somebody recently. President Tshisekedi is having, I think they are having elections in.
Yeah, they're in presidential campaigns.
And he had come to the border of Uganda and he was asking for the members of parliament on the coastline where these members of parliament want to meet them. Why? Because he knows some of the people on this side actually reside in the other side and they have to vote for him.
Oh.
So I was recently also having a barrier in, is it Namsindwa? I was wondering, somebody said, no, the other tree you see, the other side, that is Kenya. Now, such people, same cultures, same everything, this integration is highly very important.
Finally, from you, Baguma, as we conclude, on the problems that Somali brings on board, we now seem now to localize the Al-Shabaab and all those problems now. It becomes an East African community problem because I think when we were deploying, it was Uganda, Burundi, and then Kenya. Others were hesitant. Now, it now becomes our problem. Tanzania's and all those must talk about it in just these few minutes before we go for a break. We are now bringing more problems into the community.
Or more responsibilities.
More responsibilities.
Actually, what I think is that what we should be asking is, when was the Al-Shabaab issue not a problem for East Africa? When was it?
Yeah, but Tanzania has
Rugogo.
Tanzania has
So I remind you of Rugogo.
Gogo, even
has
Tanzania.
not had a serious.
Are you sure?
When which year did we have the multiple attacks on American embassies in our capital?
In East Africa, even.
It was multiple. In Uganda.
Tanzania and Kenya.
1997, something like that.
That was about 20, I think it was about 25 years ago. So the Al-Shabaab problem has been a problem of East Africa for a quarter of a century. Some of them have been doing is to shirk their responsibility to tackle that problem. They have been allowing a rare base for the Al-Shabaab to come and hit them. So why do you allow that? Why don't you go there?
But
Going there,
Richard,
had hindrances
the reason-
because of lack of integration. Now integration says we have joint security.
Joint security.
So there is no longer any
the reason why some member states were hesitant to deploy in Somalia, of course they feared the worst, I hope. And,
Yes.
and some of them were saying, even Al-Shabaab were actually targeting Kenya. Remember the Westgate attack?
Yeah, but you see, the West
Because they had deployed
no, but
in AMISOM.
For me, I am going back. Why did Kenya deploy in AMISOM? It is because the Al-Shabaab had made
attacked
the side of Kenya that is close. It had made it worried. What is it called? Worried. It was a no-go area for anybody. So you have continued displacement of hundreds of thousands of your citizens because there is a rogue on the other side. You have no choice but to go there and deal with this rogue. So Kenya deployed. It first hesitated. They first left us, but they had no choice because these guys were crossing over. What could they do? They were forced. They were invited, in fact, into the theater of Al-Shabaab by Al-Shabaab's actions. Now we don't have to first do multiple agreements. No, now we can deploy.
Okay.
There. And for me, I think what this does is not that we can deploy. We're already deployed anyway. It is just to smoothen the logistical challenges that we have had. So yes, there is a challenge that there is insecurity, but it is also irresponsible for me.
It becomes now our challenge
For me,
now?
I think it was irresponsible now
Okay.
to delay to go there.
Finally, from you, Honorable Mugore, the issue of defaulting on subscription, really, it is
Yeah.
a shame when we have had South Sudan and and other countries. Is it Burundi or DRC? Yes, Burundi. Defaulting. I think it should be the smallest. I mean,
In fact, before I say that,
that really that show commitment to the East African community.
my brothers, before I even reach that one, I have
We
to
only
tell,
have 2 minutes.
yes,
Go for a break.
1 minute will be for this and the other. I am a victim of the Westgate. I was there, so whenever somebody speaks about it, I remember, and that's why I tell you, integration of Somalia is very important. I was amidst that, in the blood, and dead bodies fell on me. But the bombing of the Westgate was after the embassies and whatever of Kenya had been bombed years ago. So the Kenya deploying in Amazon was because it had been attacked also a long time. So, but because of this constant deployment in Amazon, you can see that that fundamentalism has reduced, and we shall have to continue so that it goes away completely. On the issue of defaulting, by the way, it is not only the East Africa, even the Great Lakes region. In the Parliament have been on that committee, and you find that many countries default. Just even here in Uganda here, just for example, members of Federation of Uganda Employers, you find some of the employers default.
That shows that they are not committed.
Yeah, not majorly only commitment. It also depends on what structure was formed in regard, either they use the GDP or whatever, because countries are not the same. The commitment, though, like for South Sudan, which had just joined and begged to join, to take all the years it has joined not to contribute, is very unfair. But you should also look at the politics behind, I mean down in such a country, the economics of that country. However, even when you are not able to subscribe, you must show that you are contributing.
Thank you.
However small. What I can say here as we conclude is that everybody has taken commitment now as countries that they should continue to pay.
Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much, the panel. We will go for a short break, and we wait to see. It is now 6 months. They have been given 6 months for the federal parliament to formally ratify Somalia to be admitted formally. Thank you so much. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll be looking at the preparations as Uganda gears up for the National Non-Aligned Movement Conference together with the G77 Summit. Are we ready for those international events with these potholes around Kampala? For a break, and we'll return after a short while. Welcome from this is The Dialogue, the big show. My name is Tim Apollo and Richard Baguma Tinka Simire, Dr. Jared Were Wanzara, Honorable Mauku Stephen Mugore, in the studios to take you through these serious events, looking at Somali's admission to the East African community. But now we shift gears. We have to look at two international conferences that are upcoming. Actually, they are 1 month away. In January, Uganda will be hosting the Non-Aligned Movement Conference and the G77 Summit in Kampala. But observers have also pointed out that really Uganda knew very well that they will be hosting these important events 5 years ago. But as we speak, the city is still in a mess. Well, some works are being done. SFC has been deployed to cover up the potholes. But really, are we prepared especially in the line of infrastructure, in the line of giving our visitors that first impression, as we also prepare to leverage on the international visibility, of course, to boost our opportunities in tourism and investment. Are we ready for that? It's just less than a month away. Dr. Gerard Wanzala, take the first shot. You said when you take an aerial photograph of Kampala, it looks like an Aryan. You call it an Aryan?
A dinosaur.
A dinosaur walked through the city.
Has this level of imagination.
Anyway, for us who dwell around here, for the last 2 years, we have been complaining about potholes, either in industrial area or in the middle of Nakasero, or where it seems like people do roads where they think in African context be where big people live or pass. And then where majority of the Ugandans who are struggling pass, they don't mind about that. And to be sincere, Your Excellency, because I know the intelligence organs watch this. When we had the Savannah Kizitos here, the president said, I think one of the challenges affecting the city, why it's not changing, was the law. As Ugandans, we gave him the support. We had the KCCA Act amended, which established the office of the chief executive of, and I think at that time,
the ministry for Kampala.
And I remember that time, the debate in Parliament was that we are emulating how London is run, that it has a Lord Mayor, but it has a CEO, and therefore services will improve. Today, the ministers for Kampala, the 2 honorables, are appointed by the president.
Yep.
The person who manages the budget directly is an appointee of the president. The directors of Kampala City Authority are appointees of the central government. In fact, one of the causes of the friction between the politicians at City Hall and the technical wing is that the technical wing does not even show these contracts to the Public Accounts Committee of KCCA. So they receive the money, they implement, they ignore even the police, KCCA policy making body of the police. They even ignore oversight. So at the end of the day, we see conflict between this and that. So the central government cannot escape the road in Kampala. We cannot continue having Kampala where a border person is carrying 3 people running at a terrific speed at 7 p.m., taking to drop them in Seta and then rush back in Kampala to pick other 3. We are using Ugandans as human shields on roads. For us to market Uganda as a center for conferences, we need order on the roads, we need security, we need an organized environment. That's why many conferences have been going to Kigali. And we are wondering why. So, leaving that apart, I will come to the non-aligned movement. This is a very, very important conference. I have seen a number of political analysts watering it down. But for me, I will go back to the principles. One, it was decolonization. Of course, many countries are not directly colonized, but there is still neocolonialism. We have now a problem of debt imposed on poor countries. We have unfair trade practices between the developed and the developing countries. We have challenges to do now with blocks. We know, like this war in Europe has tried again to create blocks. So the non-aligned movement, now it creates an opportunity for them to say, you know what, this is not okay. Advocate for peace, advocate for for trade practices that are beneficial to all countries. And also, what is most important is that it markets Uganda globally. You know, we have just had problems like the murder of tourists, and you see, because of such news, people can think Uganda is very, very unsafe. But if you host such a country, 120 heads of governments, you have 20 with observer status, you have 10 international organizations affiliated. For me, I think it's a very, very, very big conference. Whether we are prepared or not, I think, what do we need? This is the question we need to ask. One, is there security? Yes, Uganda is.
Yeah.
Is it stable?
It's guaranteed.
Of course, we have insecurity in the neighborhoods, Ioniba, Hitmen, but I know that where our visitors are going, like Munyonyo, it is peaceful, and they will basically, they will enjoy.
Yeah, true.
The other issue is that we need to use such conferences to develop our infrastructure. That at the end of the day, we don't just host people and they go, then billions have been spent, okay, and then at the end of the day, Ugandans don't see a benefit. At least there should be a remembrance that we hosted the NAM conference. We had here so many people and were able to improve A, B, C, D, E. So for me, that is what I'm looking at. And of course, what I want to summarize with is championing for the things that non-aligned movement stands for. I know it is composed of majority weak states, but even weak states, once they speak together with one voice, certain things can reform, like the way they're advocating for the reform of the UN Security Council. To have because permanent it is considered, considered one of the most undemocratic, unreasonable, and dominant institution of the UN. So if they are together, I believe we can reform the UN system.
Thank you so much, Richard Baguma. This is an opportunity. Actually, it's a milestone for Uganda to have that international visibility and to market our potential in tourism as a destination for investment. But are we ready for it?
I think there will be some things that will be in place towards the conference, and some things that we will have to work around to make do and have the conference get done. There is, for example, some urgency that hosting the conference has injected in doing things like, for example, at the airport.
There are works being done.
The sense of urgency has injected some, pressure to have some things done. To the extent that the president has had to go himself and, check. That adds pressure. And people move a bit faster and a bit more seriously. The same with the transport infrastructure around the venue of the place and to and from the venue, which is Kampala and Tebe. So yes, those pressures bring some benefits that you will then move probably at a speed faster, but also like some of the funding releases get released. There are some of the other additional, not so big, but also advantages. We know that, for example, now we are going to have probably another 150 cars available to government departments after the conference. I think it's the Chinese who gave us 70, and the Indians too. I think with the Indians, the packages, we have to buy some, few, maybe 10 or something, and then they gave us an extra 50 or 60. So yes, at some logistical improvement in government transport system. Of course, some people will earn some money. No question about that. Some people have traveled to go benchmark and whatever, or learn, or some people will be paid extra because of the extra work. Some venues in Munyonyo and around Munyonyo will obviously get some extra guests for January, because January would be, January 15th is a very low period for some of those. Some fuel stations, some, there will be some benefits. And some things will definitely be done. Now, we can question the way things are being done, the legality or sticking to rules, having, for example, the SFC. I know that one of the people who benefit from this is the Mayor Elias Okwago. he will come criticizing it on legal grounds, on procedural grounds. Yes, so
How it had been contracted very
They
fast.
get some political mileage out of it by criticizing, yes. But if some of those things are done, for me,
But for God's sake, Richard, we knew that the events will be coming to Kampala. Why should we wait until the last minute, then to rush and as if it is coming too late?
yeah, that's a weakness. That's a weakness that we must agree. We have had. We could have done better. That's for sure. We also sometimes, quite often, we wait so that we can create a rush, because then you suspend PPDA rules, the emergency procurement rules.
So it could be deliberate in one way or another.
Yes, of course.
Circumvent.
The honorable Gorez can do postmortem after. No, that's okay. But it allows you. So there are also people who take advantage
Yeah,
of these things,
could be.
which is also part of the. But again, we have all organized functions and activities. Many of the things we actually do, we do them at the end, at the last time. We don't all.
But it's bad practice. It's a bad habit.
It's no question. And I have said yes. Some people, by the way, benefit from it. Some people deliberately do. But sometimes we are just simply unable to do that. And that's why I say, even at individual organizational level,
When I
even
talk
ourselves,
culture,
you find that you will be cleaning the seats in the Chidara on the day.
As guests are
As guests are arriving,
arriving.
you are rushing. And so sometimes these things happen. For me, two things. One, it's an opportunity to leverage profiling the country. So because I don't know the planning inside much, how are we then doing that? That is the first thing. But also for me, there are people who know about Uganda who had never known about Uganda. So just the converging of media houses from 120 countries, some will criticize, some will talk positively, but there will be some people who will know about this country and some of the things. That's one. The second thing is that we know that human behavior is such that when you have all people come, there will be some who will come back.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there will be some benefit on that. 3, there are certain things that you invest in which you would have not invested in. For example, in the security realm, that area we don't talk about it because many of the investments we don't know.
Yeah.
But there are some investments that have been done for the police that would not have been done without this conference. Some investments that have been done for the intelligence services that would not have been done in the ordinary budgeting system. When you're going to host 100 heads of state and governments, you certainly invest differently. And even when they go, those things will not happen, will not go away. So yes, we may not be ready as we should be, as we would like to be. We may be having the dinosaurs walking around in Kampala in the night.
Footprints of dinosaurs.
And injecting dead bodies used by SFC to preserve them.
Yeah, but certainly there is going to be a benefit. One of the largest challenge for me with this is that we have 2 summits together.
Yeah.
So I am wondering how that will work. It is unlikely that you can keep a head of state for 5 days in another country. So it means probably one will have more heads of state, then they will go away and delegate lower people. That for me is the
It's back to back. I think of how best we would have worked it out. But let me first hear from Honorable. We knew it was coming, but we wait until the last minute and to deploy SFC to patch up the roads. I don't know.
Yeah, we knew it was coming.
And again, something you have to also respond to is what Dr. Gerard raised. With such a big events, you expect to put up some facilities that afterwards, after so many years, the residents, the locals will at least benefit and look at them and say this was. For instance, before Chogam, during Chogam, preparation for Chogam, the Northern Bypass, the greening of Kampala, I remember much work was done in preparation for Chogam in 2007. But these are big conferences. I think these are big events. I don't think we have something to show after. Anyway.
If I may begin with that, it's because we are prepared. During the Commonwealth,
Really?
we were not yet prepared as we are. That's now why you don't see many things. By then, there was no Munyonyo Conference Center. So the Munyonyo Conference Center came in place because of the coming of Chogam. So, and the roads, the northern bypass you are talking about, it was all one section, now there are double sections. So those preparations are already in place. That's why you cannot see something special. But the only special thing you are seeing now is the convention center, which we have not been having. We are now going to have a convention center, which is a joint consortium between government and the Sudhir Paralia Foundation. We're now going to have a convention center. So it will be remembered, the convention center was made because of this particular summit.
Okay.
We knew it was coming. Why today? First of all, my colleagues have even said, even when you say we are going to do national identity cards and the last day is 5th, Ugandan culture, they will wait up to the 5th is when they will run to do that. Leaving out all the encumbrances that come with it, but the issue is that culture we must migrate away from it.
Yeah, true.
However, today, we knew NAM was coming. Why the delay? But as government also knew there was El Nino. If it is on road infrastructure, there is no way you could do those patches during these rains. That's why, because it is government which is planning both, new, and that's why there was a resolution. Let us not make these patches during the time of El Nino. We are now aware that El Nino is subsiding within the next 1 week or so. Then those patches will be done. Anybody, even at an introduction ceremony, even if you are going to receive a visitor tomorrow at your home, you prepare. And those preparations are always almost last-minute preparations. So, but how prepared are we? We are. We now have the Kabalega International Airport.
Kabale.
Kabalega. It's called Kabalega.
Yeah, true.
The place is Kabale.
Yeah, the village is Kabale.
Yeah, the name was.
But we have changed it to Kabalega.
When it's Kabale.
Yeah, Kabalega International Airport. And many of the planes are going to park there.
Okay.
That's one of the preparedness. We have got transport system. It is fully catered for. We've contacted, because of the East African community, some of the planes are going to go to Kigali to park in the Kigali International Airport. Some in the neighborhood in Kenya. 99 presidents have confirmed attendance for NAM. But when did we win? We are saying we knew it was coming.
Yeah, they say it's 5 years ago.
Not necessarily, because we had to pass a test. Whenever you win you have to pass the litmus test.
True.
Whether you, so the confirmation.
There are conditions.
Yes, the confirmation was just near last year. The confirmation was just near last year that we shall have. But by that to tell you, we are not having only 2 conferences. We are having 3 conferences.
Oh, this one of the speakers.
Yeah, we are having the Commonwealth Speakers Conference. We are from 3rd to 6th. So if somebody is talking of preparedness, what of that? Which is just 2 weeks, 1 month away from now. At least the other, we are going at least 1 month and a half. But this one from 3rd to 6th. And by that time, most of these potholes here will have been fixed. But look at also the other main road infrastructure system at the clock tower, going to Zambia, going to Kivuli and whatever. All of that is being finished up now. And the launch is supposed to be also this December, by end of December. They had given a date of around 20th or something like that.
But Honorable, you are aware of mistakes that may happen if we, that usually come with last-minute preparations. You want something very fast, then you end up actually messing everything up.
I may understand that, but Uganda is always prepared First of all, by its nature. Uganda has the most hospitable people in Africa, I can say. That's why even we are called the Pearl of Africa. A Ugandan smiles. Any genuine Ugandan, when he looks at the face of another, he just smiles.
Are you sure?
So that is enough preparedness.
Okay.
The hotel system during the Commonwealth, we built up to 2,000 rooms.
Yeah.
Now we are around 3,000 rooms within Kampala, Entebbe, Jinja. So that's why you are saying we are not looking at doing very many things because they were done already. So if somebody is talking of preparedness, Uganda is highly prepared.
Are you sure the road in Kampala will have been cleared?
Not completely, but it is also a sign to show that there is progress. Even the patches they are doing after that, there is a whole program of finishing up all the roads in Kampala. Now that the Mukwano, whatever, they are going to do patches, yes, but you know that it is an extension program with this one of Clock Tower that will go up to Kitugum House and the Jinja. So our infrastructure progress and program will continue, but in the meantime, as the very many visitors come, government must do something. But we are not saying that it is okay. Even the PS yesterday was apologizing that we have to apologize to the Kampalans because of these dinosaur potholes.
But Honorable, recently I saw URA bragging that spare parts are now, I think, one of the biggest earners. But they are not considering the cost on Ugandans.
Yes. The cost by this is because of that dinosaur pothole. Yes.
All right, thanks for the program and all the panelists of the dialogue. I think by that time of big international events, the roads would have been put in better conditions. The only way of avoiding more potholes in the city is to avoid heavy trucks. Alex, live in Chibuli. Thank you so much, Alex. And as we actually go into our final
Alex,
30 minutes, I request you to send in your observations and comments on these two big topics, the NAM conference and the G77 summit, but also you can comment on Somalia being admitted into the East African community. What does that mean? And is the road to integration still on course? Let me get your comments in just 5 minutes from here. Finally, from you, gentlemen, do you think Uganda will actually leverage on these two events and possibly we will get an economic benefit out of it? First from you.
Yes.
Because I ask this question because Chogam, people were told Chogam will change lives of many. I remember here what happened. People were displaced from their places, and there were very many, inconveniences. But in the end, anyway.
Do you know the spiral benefits Uganda has got because of Chogam? Even NAM would not be here if we had not had Chogam, because we would have not have developed the infrastructure to host NAM. So these three conferences actually leverage on Uganda, most especially on the economics and its tourism status.
All right.
I can assure you that even when they are here, the entire January, which is always low business, all hotels in Kampala, Jinja, and Entebbe are booked to capacity.
That is what
Full.
That's what they promised us during in preparation for Chogam.
Indeed.
That even the local person will really benefit.
What does that mean?
But what happened later?
Who brings the eggs? Who will bring the vegetables? The bananas?
No.
This is from every Ugandan benefits once we have those internationals.
Okay. Baguma, do you agree with that assertion?
The benefits from hosting such events are in three categories. They are the immediate benefits. The fact now that we are having rapid and expensive construction at Munyonyo, for example, there must be drivers of sand who are benefiting. There must be sellers of cement who are benefiting. There must be porters who have got someone.
Yes.
So at least there are the immediate benefits. There are going to be recruitment of more waiters and waitresses. Even if it's temporary for a month, they will earn that money.
Throughout the hotel system.
Yes, so there is some benefit. There are going to be fewer stations who will say a little bit more. That's for sure. So at least there are the immediate. Then you have the medium term. The medium term benefits I was telling you is where you find the institutions, for example, of government, which will inherit the equipment that was brought because of the conferences. So that's medium term. They have a bit more efficiencies. So you'll have some ministries which have been equipped a little bit better because of the need to service 100 or so heads of state. It's really a task to service 100 heads of state. Now, there is the long term.
Okay.
The one that Honorable was talking about. That now, when they come to assess, because you see that was the important thing that the Ugandans have not been told, I think, adequately. That when you are selected, you are not confirmed until the Secretariat assesses your capability to host, your readiness to host. They want. So many times you don't do you also remain on standby and waiting. One of the things we forget is in the last 5 years, COVID actually put a freeze on things. So even some of those things that were supposed to be done were not done. So the assessments came late. And so we are told now you can go. One of the things that we have benefited from Chogam, and I'm bringing this.
But we should have known that the assessments will be actually looking at what is on the ground, and then we put it on the
we said what was on the ground because of Chogam, and that's what I was talking about. It's 15 years or so, 16 years after Chogam. But the infrastructure that was put in place because of Chogam is the one that made the assessment give us a tick.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So you have three, and that needs to be understood. You have the immediate, you have the midterm, and you have the long term, which these benefits that are coming after 13, 15 years.
All right.
I can give you
The
one.
roads that were done, if you remember, there were roads that were done in that place. Salama Road, I don't know. Those villages, they all have tarmac.
But
you just go and see the construction of the increase in the cost of land. That even the locals who had their bushes, had their land value going up, they could now sell plots and do something more.
Okay.
Yeah,
And the
so
money-
these things need to be appreciated.
Quickly, the money they got in compensation, they pushed people. The money they got in compensation made them even build other structures because it was good monies. And again, because of NAM, those very roads are being constructed.
I'm imagining the displacements that have actually started. KCCA is now breaking and demolishing all those structures along the roads, and I know even borders.
Yeah,
there will
but
be
that was wrong.
crackdown on borders. There must be crackdowns coming up.
You know your visitors are going to pass here.
But why not organize the
it
city
should have
once
been
and for all?
organized. You know, when the government is doing something, but the people implementing the issue could implement it wrongly. It could have been an advice that between this and this place, we don't want these stalls, other than just coming overnight and just break. That is wrong.
That is the problem.
People must be told. But I can tell you, one of the most important benefits is Uganda Civil Aviation Authority and Uganda Airlines. The capacity it is going to build to receive 99 heads of state at one airport, and then Uganda either park those the capacity.
You said there is another airport.
Yes,
the one in
others
Kabale.
may go direct. Others, first of all, they are not going to land in Kabale International Airport before landing at Entebbe. The other will be like a parking lot, but they must land here because the president must come out quickly to. Then the plane is taken. Yeah, it will just come from there to take back. So that capacity alone is a highly important matter for Uganda.
Thank you. Dr. Jededwere, one final comment. Some city, I mean, we who live in this city thought that possibly these events would help bring a new face to this city that has been attacked by dinosaurs. But what do you think? Will will we see something finally?
There is this small mind. There is this small mind we always have of thinking that it is only visitors who want good things. We also want good things. We also want good things. And Uganda has the ability to offer Kampala residents better roads. Of course, I commend the SFC because under the emergency situations, what do you do?
Yeah, the military steps in.
Yes, but I call it injecting a dead body to preserve it from rotting.
Yes.
So now that we are filling these potholes, because you know, such conferences, not all people end in Munyonyo. Once the heads of state leave, there are other smaller conferences that follow, even for a month. And there are those people who want to escape from Nyonyo and go and see the nightlife in Kamocha, in Kabalagala, in where. So where are they passing? What kind of
if I may
transport?
chip in, during the speakers conference,
Yes.
Malaysia alone, the speaker said is coming with 90.
You see?
So don't think that the 90 are just going to go to
The people who want to go to Chireka and see how Ugandans behave in the night. So we must look at it from that broader sense. And I can tell you there are people with bars that will benefit, people with restaurants, people with lodges. So this is not what we are talking about. But things like
Isn't
that.
there a possibility of people who will come with their media entourage
Absolutely.
to take the bad picture of Kampala, to sell the bad and deplorable picture of Kampala, Richard?
That is, I already talked about it, that there will be two sides. There will be people, the ones who come with the delegations are usually government, they're more positive.
Yeah, more positive.
But media from those countries also follow their leaders to go and see, because this is a big thing. So they will also pick out the, what do you call this, these children who are on the streets. They will pick out the beggars.
Yep.
Those stories will also go. And for me, why I don't worry too much.
The lakes that are
Hey, why
already
don't worry
in
too
the middle
much?
of the
There are
roads.
not too many cities which don't have those problems. As long as we can fill the lakes quickly, and I think with
Like
this
Lake
combination
Chambogo.
of the army and the civilian institutions, I think we shall have filled some of those lakes.
Okay.
That there will not be too many dinosaur lakes in Kampala.
Thank you so much, our viewers. Let me see if we have comments there. I see Mbalide Moses say thank you so much for the program. They are appreciative. And Lukanga Dennis say thank you so much. Richard, you're spot on. Okay. And we have to wind up, gentlemen. Have to wind up. And Honorable, a report was tabled in Parliament this week, and it somehow cools the tempers, the standoff that has been in Parliament for more than a month. And in that report, the State Minister for Internal Affairs, David Muhoozi, tabled almost more than 79 pages. Very huge report. But the opposition seem not, anyway, they have not come out officially with their rejoinder, but from their statements, they did not really find it comprehensive as they thought. Because the report talks about, like on the issue of Muslims being targeted, it highlights that actually the opposition had brought false allegations that Muslims are all over Uganda's prisons, but when they aggregated the different denominations, Muslims were third, they were not in the first place. Then again, on the issue of people who are missing, they said the relatives of those people who are reportedly missing did not even report to police. There is no formal report. And they say it is by law you have to report for a person to be considered missing. And on that particular issue, they also say that even relatives of the missing people did not cooperate with the investigators. That some of them actually told them, the leadership at Kamocha instructed them not to speak to anyone, even the investigators. So they found hardships collecting information on that. We only have a few minutes. Talk about it. What do you think will happen after this report as you saw it, or as you received it, you were in Parliament?
Yeah, first of all, I've been in fact, I returned last evening. The whole of this week I've been on parliamentary work, but not in Parliament.
Oh, yeah.
I've been out of Parliament in Fort Portal in Western Uganda, handling local government service commissions. So I was not, and I'm not handy to the report, but like you have just mentioned, I said it here the other time, that first of all, the Human Rights Committee on which I sit is chaired by the movement. It's not chaired by the opposition. And we are the ones who produced this report and brought it on the floor of Parliament. And then the opposition picked on the issues we had raised in the report, and they come and they claim they will not come back to Parliament unless ABCD is raised. On that very day, because I was in Parliament, the minister had been given, he requested for 1 month to come up with the report. Then the opposition now insists, before this report comes, we are not coming back to Parliament. And they're insisting the report should come within 1 week. When the minister says, I can only, now imagine a 70-page report. Would it come out within 1 week or so? So I'm happy that the report is out, first of all. I'm happy that they acknowledge it. As Parliament waits for the rejoinder from the opposition, I don't want to make many comments because I don't know what they are going to, we need. But again, who are the people going to receive this? That report is again going to be sent back to the Committee of Human Rights, and we again look at it, the gaps between the government report now from the report of Parliament and what now the opposition will do a rejoinder. I'm very sure that after the rejoinder, the matter is going to be sent again to the Human Rights Committee.
Dr. Judy Wanzara, you read the report. What do you make of that report? Will it cool the tempers in the House?
One is that at least it has cooled the tempers already, and at least it shows some form of accountability. Now, about the content, I will not be subjective now. I have my own reservations about some of the issues in the report. And for instance, where the state challenges that if a family member has not maybe reported a missing person, but you know other institutions have reported, then it's not a big concern. I believe that if this person can be traced to somewhere, then it's the responsibility of the state to ensure that they investigate further to know why. Because the reasons why sometimes family members fear to come out is because they also fear that maybe they will be on the watch list of the state, or there will be some form of retribution from the state, something like that. That's why you see even the minister in the report was saying that some family members would only accept to speak to an NGO, and therefore the police have to come out as NGO employees in order to obtain information. But first of all, why do we reach there? Because I remember when the NRM came, the Justice Odele Commission was there to investigate human rights violations by previous regimes. A report was made, and in the 10-point program, one of the key points was promotion of human rights, prevention of violations of human rights. But the human rights are broad, you know. There are those economic rights, the health rights, there are so many, right to employment, right to, but at least let's protect the life to the right to life. That I don't want to be with Baguma here, then the next day I cannot trace where he is. And then, you know, the trauma you have caused to the country, to the family, to the people who relate with him on a daily basis. So, but the government coming out to give a report, I commend it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is accountability to the citizens of Uganda.
All right, Richard, one of the issues that were raised by the leader of opposition was to have a report after 40 days, 40 long days. And he was like, the government is not serious. Why wait until the issue comes to this level and think, I mean, they have traded not so good, words. I remember the State Minister for Sports standing on the floor of Parliament and saying, we are actually happy with the opposition out of Parliament. We can now conduct our job very without interference. You see, the tensions first go high and then you bring a report. Do you think it came a bit late?
I was on another forum yesterday morning, in the public forum, and I said it was interesting for me that it took R0001 to be the one to instruct these others
To bring a report.
When we were here the other time, I said this group that is not bringing the report is giving the other one so much
Leverage.
so much
Yeah.
mileage. Hey, why are you surrendering mileage? And then the presiding officer went also into why, and that's the questions. And I said I quarreled with some PR people in government. They said, why are you allowing this so much mileage? Bring the report. I said this is what I thought was going to happen. The report will come. The report is a face-saving situation for all. Because the opposition was also having trouble. They needed to come back.
Yes.
They needed to have some face-saving. So do it. And like I said, these principles will sit down and discuss it. For example, there are certain things that you put to the opposition, but you don't need to put them in public. You call them and you say, look guys, the report had 400. I don't know if people remember that we started from 400.
Yeah, missing persons.
we have reduced to 18. And if you remember, among the photos that were brought, there was one who, I think is a Nigerian comedian or something, who was very popular online. How can you even bring such a photo? Among the 18, I am told, and actually I'm told the president's support for him is even bigger. It is more than 79 is a small extract, it's probably 300 or so. There are some people who are known where they are outside this country.
Yeah, in the report they said the opposition actually using, some of the alleged missing persons used this whole thing to procure visas
And
to
they
go
have
abroad.
appeared on social media because you see when you go, you brag. So I think those are the discussions that can be had without embarrassing each other and going to the public. So for me, the weakness really was the 40 days were unnecessary. This the report, because the investigating and knowing even who is in Canada, the agencies, the state agencies knew some of the things. Even some embassies confirmed that they had issued the visas to these people. But so I don't know why our people
would even let to bring a report. Because I can even bring it half baked. For example, we continue to get more.
The other thing that they are not talking about is that they did not originate this issue. This issue was originated by an RM-dominated human rights committee in Parliament. So why do you seem like you are the one originating this issue? So it's allowing this group to take their limelight, to take the high moral ground, high horse, as if they're the ones who are doing this. So for me, it's a disaster, a PR disaster on the side of the other one. But Apollo, I will repeat this.
Repeat it.
That even if it is one Ugandan missing,
Yeah, true.
the entire parliament, the entire government must be concerned. And the manner of reporting or not reporting to government, I was saying again, it is our side that is creating this problem. If you have Wanzara, you want him at police for making whatever mistakes also. Why do you send guys with slippers, with torn jackets,
With vehicles that don't have number plates,
to go and abduct him? Abduct what and what? Why don't don't you tell him to come? Okay, even if you want to arrest him from his home, why don't you use a police vehicle? Now, what is going to happen is that then criminals are actually going to start abducting us.
Yeah, true.
In a similar manner.
Absolutely. So why are we creating this
Okay.
resistance?
Our time is running
So
out.
I am happy that the opposition made a walkout. I was very happy that even if it's one Uganda, the walkout should happen.
Why did
I am
you?
also happy that the government finally, but unfortunately waited for RO001 to bring the statement.
All
This
right.
one now come.
Honorable Mugore, why, if it is really an important matter, human rights matter, why didn't you also in NRM walk out with these people?
No, because we had brought the matter on the floor of parliament.
Okay.
And a minister is directed to bring a report. And the minister comes back on the floor of parliament and says, please give me 1 month to come out with a report. And we're pushing for that report. Why do we walk out? The others were just looking for leverage. The report which they have not made.
So it is true they were also looking for political
Yes, political mileage.
mileage.
Political mileage.
And you gave them time. You gave it to them with a blank check, 40 days.
Yes, but managing that is where we should have managed it better. We should have managed it better.
You're parting short, Honorable. We have to go.
Yeah,
Just a statement.
Just to congratulate Uganda for going to host 3 international conferences. One of NAM, one of Commonwealth, and the other of G77 plus China.
Yeah.
This is very important for Uganda. And within the remaining month, this is what we should be talking about. Really trying to look at how we leverage. In the tourism sector, we are looking at having a glass bridge across the Maction Falls. Not what they were talking of, that generating electricity. That one we have put
Not in these 30 remaining days.
no, not in these 30 remaining days.
All right.
Now,
Richard.
that's what we want, because we have now a convention center.
Okay.
The spiral benefit that are going to come in the near future, in the next 2-3 years, we are going to have a glass bridge.
Okay. Richard.
I think that Honorable Mugore and his colleagues will have the spine, will have the backbone, will avoid to be bribed and manipulated, and they will pass a strong alcohol control law for Uganda. The law is there in Kenya, the law is there in South Africa, the law is there in Nigeria. We have examples. Here, Honorable Werika and the Honorable Mugore, they are saying the other people cross to drink waraji from Africa. We must stop being the top drunkard
tourists. Drunkards as tourists.
Drunkard tourists. And I am hoping that we know the manipulative power and the money of the alcohol industry. I hope Honorable Mugore and your colleagues will really have the spine to tell the alcohol industry, you can still make your profit vending poison, but don't kill our people and don't disease them.
Thank you.
We have already done
Dr.
that.
Gerard.
When they were
Just a
using
minute.
these packets.
Yeah, we need
of management.
we need to immunize the government from uncoordinated troop movement, because it's so embarrassing, like on this human rights issue, where a prime minister is being quoted by everyone, and then the deputy attorney general comes to say that they were meaning the Chibalama, the prime minister was meaning Chibalama, the founder of NUM,
Moses Chibalama.
and who has not been arrested at all. So we need to know, if we are big people, that our words
Thank you so much, our
are not
viewers.
taken like
you so
inside
much.
in the cell on the street.
Thank you so much, the panel. Thank you so much, Dr. Gerard. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much, Honorable Stephen. And thank you so much, our viewers. Let's catch up next Saturday. This is The Dialogue. Good afternoon, and God bless Uganda.